All right, welcome into the inaugural, the first edition of the Space Cowboys podcast called Orion's Belt. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. We're going to get started right now with my guy, Chris Moreno. Chris Moreno, welcome into the show. This is our first episode. I'm excited to have you on. I'm excited to do this because, look, we have the luxury of having the AAA team right in our backyards. And you, sir, are basically in my backyard. We're both the same side of town. Chris, do this. Tell everybody where they can find you and what other things you do for the various baseball teams in town.
All right. So you can find me on X at H-Town Warrior 738. And right now, besides this new podcast that we just cooked up, I'm also one of the 3 hosts of the Juicebox Heroes that you can find us on X. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram as well. So just look for anything Juicebox Heroes, and that'll be us. I mean, we're posting every Sunday and Thursday now that the season started. So
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, no, you guys do a great job. PK, Briles, and yourself just do a phenomenal job there. We came in contact because we're kind of local. We're really within a stone's throw of each other, to, if I could use figurative language here on this show. But we both enjoy minor league baseball. I know you have really grown an affinity for it. And look, minor league baseball, to some people, they don't know a whole lot about it. There's a lot of people, even today, I went to the game to watch Lance McCullers pitch, and there's a lot of people that are first-time attendees. They know about baseball. They've heard about the Space Cowboys, but the Sugarland Space Cowboys put on a good show. And what I like about AAA is not only do you have the luxury of seeing professional players play on a little bit more intimate setting, you get up close and personal with them. You also get to see the stars of tomorrow. And we have a lot of guys that are on this ball club that were not actually Space Cowboys. They were Skeeters, Jeremy Pena, Hunter Brown, Jake Myers, Chas McCormick. All these guys were in AAA before they changed the name, before the Astros took over. So you were able to be at opening day. You were able to be there the first game of the season. I was at the first game of the season for the Astros. You hit the first game of the season for the Space Cowboys. And there are guys on this lineup and in this roster like Brice Matthews, like Quincy Hamilton, that I think offensively are going to be a force. And I think Hugh Ham has a shot to come up if they need some help. If someone goes on the IL, he seems like a guy that really has hit his weight really well in AAA and could see some action here and there. Tell us your impression of the opening day game.
So like I said, we both did the opening day for the Astros on Thursday. Then I did the back-to-back trifecta with the opening day on Friday as well, But yeah, man, I had a great time. It's kind of blows my mind that, not like you were saying, not too many people know about, what's going on in Sugarland. And as far as we are pretty lucky the fact that we have the Astros in downtown Houston, and then we have Sugarland 45 minutes away.
Right.
So I thought the atmosphere was great. It's unfortunate that it took 9 innings for the offense to wake up. But to go on to what you were saying, I think Quincy Hamilton's another one of those guys that he's sneaky, because when everybody looks at AAA, they're looking at the Space Cowboys, they're looking at Jacob Melton. That's the big name that everybody's, when is he going to be ready, Chris? When is he going to be ready? But Quincy Hamilton, man, he's one of those guys that if, Jacob Melton's not quite ready yet, I think he could come in and definitely hold his weight up on the big roster. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that, at least as far as due to injury or poor performance. But I think you have enough depth. And like I said, the Astros have been proven to show what they can do with the guys out in AAA. But I don't want to get too hung up on what the Astros can do. I want to talk about what the Space Cowboys can do.
Yeah, exactly. So pitching wise, they got guys like AJ Blueball on the mound. They've got Rhett Kuba. They got Bennett Souza, Brendan Walter. I was at the game today. They had who was it? Blake Wyman and Murray, they were up there signing autographs for the fans, but Blake Wyman is a guy that I'm excited about. He had a great spring training. What was your impression of the pitching? Because wasn't it AJ Blueball? Was he the one who started the opening day game?
No, that was Colton Gordon. Colton
Oh, I'm
Gordon
sorry, Colton
started.
Gordon. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I had okay. Okay, you're right. You're right. Colton Gordon. How did he look? I mean, this is a guy that has a high upside.
Oh yeah, he looked great. I mean, like he gave up a solo shot to, I mean, I think one of the Dodgers' top 10 prospects that's at AAA, but 5 solid innings, gave it 1 run, like 2 3 hits. I mean, he looked really good for a guy that was this close. I mean, he was my pick to make the Astros roster, coming out of spring, and it didn't work out that way. But I mean, I think he looked great, and I think again you've got another option down in AAA that if anything goes amiss up in the majors, he's another guy you can call upon.
Yeah, exactly. Colton Gordon is a guy that we are familiar with. Last year the Astros had some stud guys, aka Jake Bloss, who is now a Toronto Blue Jay. And one of the things Astros fans were asking me going into this year, they're like, "So, are you telling me that if we have really good pitching in the minors, that means they're going to be trade bait every time?" And I'm like, "No, that was more of a necessity thing." And I think if the Astros made a little bit more of a deep run, and you had Yusei Kikuchi actually contribute and be able to do so, then people would have maybe not been so sour on that. But Colton Gordon and AJ Blueball are the two guys that I'm most excited about here in AAA.
No, I agree. I mean, those are the two big names I think went in the spring. I mean, like I think Colton Gordon was on a more of a faster track to make the roster. But I love what AJ Blueball, the work he put in the off season. He was going into camp throwing 98. I mean, I'll take
Mhm.
that every day. Um, but there's also another couple of arms that are also I'm pretty interested in. Logan Van Way as well. I think a lot of Astros fans and Space Cowboys fans got to see a lot of him during spring training this year. So he's definitely, if he wasn't on your radar, he's definitely on your radar now. But yeah, I mean, I think the two guys everyone's kind of looking at is Blue Ball and Colton Gordon.
Yeah, definitely those two guys. Now, we got to make sure though, because I've noticed on X that he pays attention to it. Logan, it's actually Van Y and not Van
Oh,
Way. It's okay.
gotcha.
It's okay.
Okay. All right.
I
Hey,
got I had one tweet hearted from Van Y because I talked about how I pronounced it. So I'm just saying, that way we don't get in trouble by the Van Y family, if you know what I'm
I
saying.
gotcha. I
Um,
gotcha.
but I mean, coming into this, it's not just the pitching though that you have. You have Miguel Uola, who I think has a high upside. Once he is out there on the mound and contributing. But Tommy Sacco Jr., this guy was
Yeah.
the player of the year last year. 124 games in Double A last year, hit 248, had a slash line of 248, 344, 372, and 722, 21 doubles, 3 triples, and 11 home runs. I mean, this guy was promoted August 27th last year. This team ended the season winning the AAA national championship. Okay.
Yeah.
So they won more games in the big club up there at Dyken Park. And so you've got guys in this lineup that's chock full of potential. And Jacob Melton, people were asking me, what's the deal with Jacob Melton? We haven't seen him at all. Is he still not 100%? Do we know what's going on with him?
I would assume that he's not 100%. I don't know the actual word because I looked at it. I know he didn't play open tonight, and it looks like he didn't play all series. So I would assume he's
Did
probably
not.
not 100%. So
Yeah, he's got to be, but he's not on the IL. So I don't know. I know during spring training, he had some issues, and so apparently he's not hurt enough to put on the IL. But he's also, um, but then again, he's also too hurt to be included in there. So this club actually they played their first 3 games at home, and now they go on the road to play the Durham Bulls. That's a classic name. Remember,
it is.
remember,
Yeah.
remember the movie Bull Durham, Kevin Costner
Yeah.
made famous. But
Yeah.
yeah, the world famous Durham Bulls.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, they little bit of a shaky start to start the season, but hopefully, the day off. Hopefully, everybody's just kind of getting stretched out, and ready. They head up to Durham and start pounding the ball like we're used to. And you were talking about Tommy Sacco winning the minor league player of the year. This was a minor league system that was filled with, let's see, just thinking of the guys that were in AAA last year. Pedro Leon had 20 plus home runs. Shea Whitcomb had 20 plus home runs. Jesus Bastidas, he had 20 home runs. I
Yeah.
mean, so you had 5 or 6 guys in that Space Cowboys lineup last year that had 25 plus home runs. Not to mention the hot start Loperfido got off to last year to begin the season in AAA as well.
Right.
And Tommy Sacco outshined all of them. So it's just kind of crazy that this minor league system gets overlooked. But you look at the guys that the Astros consistently put out once they get up to that level. So, but yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive for Tommy Sacco.
So we had a local kid in Brice Matthews hit a walk-off over the weekend. That was nice to see him get in the action. Now here's the interesting thing. He's hitting like 144 right now, but he's got an expected batting average that's almost 200 points higher than what his average is, which means he's hitting into a lot of bad luck. And they did leave a lot of runners in scoring position. They were 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position on Saturday night. They left 13 stranded. Now, it's a small sample size. It's 3 games. Once this season gets going, we'll see if that evens out. But one of the things that these guys are doing is they're trying to control what is going on that day of the game and who they are and how they're performing, not necessarily focused on getting to the big club, because every one of them I've talked to said, we've got to take care of what I'm doing so that when that call does come, I'm ready. So do you have any concern for the offense, or is it just way too early to make a judgment at this point?
I think I'm going to lean more towards it's just way too early. I mean, we're talking 3 games out of what do they play? 148. I think
Right.
that's how much they play. I mean, so any team can go through a bad 3-game skid. I mean, so like now if we're at the end of April and we're still looking at these numbers, and yeah, I think there's probably some concern there. I mean, but 3 games. I mean, like I think eventually that stuff's going to play out. Some of those bad luck hits are going to get, or bad luck outs are going to get through to become hits. I just think it's way too early to, look at the total runners in scoring position, the low batting average for that, and just, act like the sky is falling. It's just way too early.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. But what I like about this club is you do have Guillorme, who didn't make the roster. You have Zach Short, who didn't make the roster. Now, Zach Short, I think at just by any time can just basically ask to be released if another team wants to pick him up or something like that. He's got some conditional things, written within his contract. But I can't wait to see Logan Van Wy get more of a start. Basically, he came in from the bullpen, and he last year was 9-1 as a starter. Chris, this guy is a guy that profiles as a starter, but can be a closer. I absolutely love that. So you look back on the weekend, they win 2 games, they lose 1, they win the series. I mean, what more can you ask for? You got an opening winning series at home, and then you go on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's all you can really kind of ask for is a winning series, no injuries, and like I said, you take you take the good and the bad from this series, and you just look to build upon it. When you go to North Carolina, see how that goes.
And this is a good note here, and this is something I hadn't even really thought of. The PCL is notorious for being a hitters league. I mean, they play in Utah, in Reno, they play in El Paso, they play in high elevation everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So of course, when a guy has 20 home runs, okay, well, yeah, he also hit in 5 ballparks that have have thin air. Nagnab says, I think the interleague play versus Durham will hopefully give more respect to the BCL. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You have one stadium in America that is high altitude. That's Coors Field. You know, that's why I think, Chris, that's why I think it's crazy and insane that Major League Baseball wants to expand to Mexico City. Not because I don't want Mexico City to be in baseball, but that stadium alone is like a super version of Coors
Yeah.
Field.
No, it is. It is. I mean, but hey, I mean, like MLB is just like any type of company. I mean, when the money talks, they'll answer. So
That's true. That's true. And I mean, who knows? Let me ask you this. Do you think we'll see another team in Canada, or do you think we'll see a team in Mexico first?
that's tough. I mean, because like if you ask me, who I thought, would probably be next in line, I don't think it would be either one of them.
Right.
But
But
I would probably,
let's just
but
say
for
we had to pick
yeah,
any team to
for
go
the
out.
sake of the conversation, I'd probably say Mexico City. I think what they're doing is, and the only reason why I say that is that there hasn't been any games recently, the showcased or anything in Montreal or Vancouver or wherever.
True.
You're starting to see a lot more of these Mexico City series, and maybe this is just the test run to say, hey, how popular would this be? Um, how much of a stay in power in population and money revenue and stuff like
Right.
that would this have outside of one 3-game series? So if I had to put my money on it between Canada and Mexico, I think my money's on Mexico.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about Lance McCullers today. Dude, he looked good.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He looked really good. I'm gonna give you some stats on his pitching. He threw his knuckle curve 31% of the time, his changeup 31% of the time, his sinker 23% of the time, his slider 14% of the time, and his sinker topped out at 94.9 and averaged 93.2 miles per hour per day.
I like
Not
it.
not a bad day at the office.
No, no. And like I said, we discussed about Lance's rehab start tonight. And my thing is that, like, yeah, he gave up 2 runs. But the main goal is like for these rehab starts is like you want to see him hit close to the numbers. Like you were saying, he averaged 94.9, or he
Right.
averaged like high 93s, high 93
Right.
point something.
Right.
The goal is for him to do his work. Well, that's 2 innings. He struck out the side in the first inning. But the main thing is for him to complete his 2 innings and then not feel any pain afterwards. So
That's key.
that's the goal. That is the goal for him. So I mean, the fact that I can live with the fact that he gave up 2 runs, I really don't care that he gave up 2 runs. It's the fact that he, like I said, he struck out the side. His fastball and his speeds on his pitches, like I would like to see him not throw as many curveballs because of all the elbow issues that he's had, but that's just me. But as long as I haven't seen any reports saying that he feels any discomfort, so it's a win-win. And the people of Sugarland and Space Cowboys got to host a beloved Astro pitch at the stadium today, so it's a
Yeah,
win-win for
exactly.
everybody.
No, yeah, definitely. That's always good for the kids to see that. But Lance looked good out there. Hai-Song Kim was his first batter he faced, a major league hitter,
Yeah.
and struck him out. And he just, like, when he walked onto the field, he looked great. We actually have posted on our YouTube channel the full interview of him provided by the Sugarland Space Cowboys. Thank you, Garrett, for providing that that video for us. And from time to time, we may be able to throw in some game highlights on our podcast so people can see. Look, not everybody gets to watch minor league baseball, and even if you go every once in a while, it's kind of cool to see them playing in Reno, playing out in El Paso. Heck, maybe one day down the road when this is the largest Space Cowboys podcast on the planet, maybe we can go on the road and go watch them play ourselves.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time. I'm down. You know me. I am down.
So, this year we're going to be looking at these players. Not only are we going to be looking at the guys that are here now, but as we get into the season, we're going to look at guys in AA who are making noise and who may be joining the club, because that's always a fun thing to see. And one guy that I am excited that I think will make his way to AAA this year is Ethan Pecco, a fast rising pitcher in the Astros organization.
Yeah, he's one of the handful of guys that when you look at the pitching prospects, I mean, outside of Colton Gordon, AJ Bluebaugh, Ryan Gusto, he's the guy that's once you get outside of those that crop of three that are right there, he's the next wave of guys that are coming up that you're going to be looking at maybe next year at the end of the year after and be like, man, this kid's coming. Better
Yeah,
be ready, because he's going to be coming. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of good value prospect wise, all the way down to Fayetteville. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name off their roster, but I
right.
mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, so it's not just at Sugarland. I mean, these guys that could be at Sugarland next season or some point this season. Like Colin Price, saw him. I was like, holy moly, that's right. He is in Sugarland now. Guy's
Hmm.
like 6'9", like biggest first
Oh,
baseman I've ever
dude,
seen.
he's a monster. He is a unit. I was standing there um in the camera well before the game, and he walked by, and I was like, "Holy Lord!" But
Yeah.
we've got guys that haven't even come to us yet, and guys like Luis Baez, Walker Yannick,
Kenny
you've got
Gomez,
yeah
another
Kenny
one.
Gomez. I mean, I'm looking through my source right now. I'm looking at Astros future. Look, Parker Smith, get this, was a fourth rounder out of Rice, and he's already the 11th rated prospect in the system. Jose Fleury, who is in Double A right now. Um, you know, like I mentioned, Pecco is there. You've got guys like James Hicks, Dombrowski has made some noise, and then to kind of round up the top 30, Michael Noor, who's a right-handed pitcher who's in Double A, Jackson Nezu, and it's Nezuh. This guy is impressive, dude. We have got a lot of people, Kennedy Corona, who makes some noise defensively, Pascal Ferreras, who I think will have an impact on this squad. What's neat about this podcast this year is we're going to have so much to talk about. There's going to be a different storyline each week.
No, I agree, and like, I mean, one of the things that I'm most excited about is, I mean, like I said, I'm like knee deep in the Space Cowboys anyway, so this is just awesome. I get to talk about it, once a week. But I don't think it's going to be your cookie cutter, well, reviewing each day, each game. I mean, I think
Right.
there's going to be so much more that we're going to dive into as far as like, yeah, this guy did this, but here, there's so many more storylines as you were saying that's going to happen, and and like I said, this isn't going to be just a cookie cutter, you know, Space Cowboys, won the series 3-2, and he pitched good, he pitched good, he pitched good. All right, guys, see you guys next week. So
No, yeah,
um,
it's and what we're gonna try to do, and it's just a matter of time of scheduling. Is we will have some interviews for you. Try to get some of the coaching staff, some of the players on, and get perspective from them, because it's been my experience when you're able to talk to the guys that are in the trenches. These guys are pros just like the big league guys. They're all professional baseball players, but hearing their mindset. I remember talking to, I believe it was Joe Record when he was still with us. And when he was down in Double A Corpus, he had told us how he gave up basically 4 or 5 runs in like 1 1/3 inning. So the pitching coach from Corpus came out and said, look, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I need you to not give up any more runs. It's up to you. And he went out there, and he pitched another 5 innings, and he basically pitched a no hitter. And so he said that was just a hallmark moment for him, just knowing that he could get through it. And one of the things that you'll also hear from these minor leaguers is they get way more information than they know what to do with. And so the Astros will hand you an encyclopedia of you. Like if Chris Moreno is the
oh
pitching
boy.
prospect, you will know now more about yourself than you knew about yourself. And then what they do is they dissect it. They split it apart, and they say, okay, Chris goes, look, I want to focus on this. The team says, let's focus on that. And then they pick certain things. So it's not like drinking through a fire hose. So that's one of the things I like about the Astros player development. I've talked to Jason Bell before. I mean, there's a lot of intricate details that you don't ever know that go on before that player even hits the field.
Yeah, I mean that's like I said, like I enjoy watching. I know we've seen them all throughout the social media. It's like you'll see Barry Bonds on one side of the camera, then you'll see Greg Maddux, and you'll just see how they each one of them dissected that at bat, and it blows my mind because like if you really like take a step back, you're like, man, this is really a pitcher and a hitter basically playing chess with each other, and
Exactly.
like and you're talking about these guys that, and you're absolutely right, they're 100% professionals. I mean, like they get to do something that I know myself I would when I was a younger kid, man, I would dream of doing that. And I can only imagine all of the advanced analytics they have. Hey, here is the book on you, written not by you, but by us. So, but here's how we're going to get through each little notch and get you ready for when that time that we call you, you'll be 100% ready to go. I mean, so I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to talk to some of these players, dive into, what they do, whether it's preparation, stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and I look forward to this, Chris. I think this is going to be great. You're going to teach me a lot because, my wheelhouse is the big league club there at Dyken Park, and your wheelhouse, I think, is more of like the minor leagues. Although you are kind of well versed in both of them. So, look, I think this is a great episode, a great just introductory episode. We're gonna add some elements to this as this thing grows, but we definitely need y'all to subscribe to our channel. Be looking for social media pages for us. Facebook. We haven't talked about whether or not I don't know if it's going to be Instagram and X or whatever. So just be looking. We'll let you know as symbols pop up on our page. You'll be able to know. So Chris, you have any more thoughts? Anything we need to cover before we head out?
No, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to doing this every week. And like I said, like Brett said, I mean, the second we find out, I mean, we know what we have an idea. It's just a matter of having the time to execute it. So, like I said, we don't want to give you guys half of the entire thing. We don't want to say, hey, here's our live, but we don't have nothing over here. So that's definitely in the works. I mean, we want to be able to get everybody who enjoys the Space Cowboys, who loves talking about the Space Cowboys in one spot so that we can all talk. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, like I love going to the Space Cowboys, games. I enjoy talking to all the people I talk to that are there, and I'm sure that everybody would just like I said, we're going to create a community where we can enjoy it, and it's led by the podcast, but our podcast is just a thought
We're not
without
the
you
only
guys.
voice
So we
out
need
there.
you
I mean,
guys, yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so we need you guys to come in. If you're watching, we need you to jump over to the YouTube channel, click on the link, comment, interact with us. We can do some mailbag stuff like that. Just questions. We'll bring people on like Jimmy from Astros Future, Kenny from Astros Future, some other guys that we are able to network with. So look, man, this has been a great first episode. I'm excited because there's so much more to come from this podcast. And I think that the people are going to really like what they get from here because nobody's going to cover the Space Cowboys the way Chris Moreno and H-Town Wheelhouse does, right?
it's a true story. It's a true story.
Well, hey, man, y'all have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. And this has been a great first episode. 127 of y'all. Please hit the like button. Please go to our channel, subscribe. Help us grow. The more we grow, the more you know. So let's go and have a good one. And ride 'em, cowboy.
Let's go. See you guys next time.